Welcome back to the Nature Sketchbook Club and Nest, Feathers, and Eggs. So for this little project, what I was envisioning was a way to capture something that I was able to observe over time. Sometimes that's a really great way when you have the great benefit of actually witnessing something take place over a period of a number of days. It's kind of fun to be able to document that. And while I could have done that in a normal sketchbook, with maybe a grid system or a comic book strip type of a setup, I had this little sketchbook that I'm not even sure where I got it, but I will look that up for you. That's accordion. It's an accordion pleated, not accordion pleated, but an accordion folded setup. And so I thought, wow, I could just start from the day one of this little experience that I had and document it all the way through. I had a robin build a nest right outside between my garage and my house, and I walk by it every day, and it's at 5 feet, so I can see into the nest very easily. So I captured photos every day of the nest when it was empty, the nest with eggs, and each day through till they had fledged. Or at least that's what I hope happened to them. They just were not there one day. So I started it off. I named it. I put the dates up here with a little stamp that I have that I can change, June 8th, 21, and so on. Wrote a little bit about where I found the nest, gave it some context. And in this one, although I didn't want to do a botanical study, I did want to indicate that it was within a lace-top hydrangea vine that I just accidentally discovered it one day. I was trimming the vine and saw that there was a nest that had started. So I did some lettering. I just drew the lettering out first and then transferred it on and carefully put a very small brush with water in each area and then touched it to the Viviva color sheets and then on and let it bleed as it would, but within the palette I used in the background here. The whole idea with this was to look at the shapes as abstract shapes and colors and not really get detailed as I am so wont to do. Just do an abstraction of the context so that the highlight was the nest and the eggs. And then I put down the date and the first day there was 1, and then there were 2, and then there were 3 eggs. And now I've drawn all the other days on here lightly on through to the back side, and then the last day when one of the eggs that never did hatch was all that was left. And I'm hoping that means they fledged, although normally when I watch this process you actually see them being a little more active and popping up over the top of the nest, etc. And I didn't see that, but the number of days for the brooding had taken place, so perhaps they did. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working on this, and I will film some of it, but for the most part, this was more about an idea that I had and a way to express something over time. I have some other ways that this could be done. This will be all watercolor with some notes, but you could also do that just as easily with pen and ink drawings or pencil drawings. I have a couple other sketchbooks because I also have the great pleasure to be watching a junco's nest. And so I document that in a little different way. I will check back with you in the next segment. Okay, here we are, all ready to go. I'm going to do the second little project here, this observing a nest over time and how to document that. And so here we are in the Nestcapades, Robins in the Hood booklet that I'm making. It's an accordion folded book, and I'm going to start painting the second image, which is the day that we discovered the baby's born, all but one anyway. I have my photo reference. I have my brushes, the 311 black gold triple aught, an Anna Mason number 3, and 2 aforementioned unmarked fine tipped brushes. I have my Viviva color sheets and some water. And so let's get started. I'm going to begin with the nest. and probably just very loose interpretation of it, because there's a lot of days to document, and this is just meant to be observations, quick sketches, not botanically or ornithologically correct. So I'm avoiding the area of the birds and the egg and just getting the rest of it wet. I'd like to mention that this book that I'm painting in is meant for mixed media. It's not watercolor paper at all. It's not got any tooth to it, and so it's not going to act like most of the painting that we normally do. I need my little palette that I was using. See if I can mix a straw color. These colors are so intense that it doesn't take much. I don't want any more than just a little hint of yellowish, and picking up some of the other colors in my dirty palette here should do it. That's a little on the green side. Let's see if we can put something in there to change that a little bit. Here we go. Now we're talking. All right, so I just want to make some wispy, watery marks to start, and then I'll let those quiet down while I work on the birds. Okay, well, as you can see, it's pretty difficult to make heads or tails, so to speak, out of what's going on there. I think if I was a mother and I just sat on those eggs for however many days, 10 days or 12 days, and then that happened, I probably would have walked away. I'm not so sure about that, but maybe they're beautiful to her. And they get cute eventually, but they aren't very cute right now. And it's hard to tell, if I've actually drawn them in a good representation of what's going on. I believe that this will become a wing at some point, for instance. Looks kind of like a chicken wing, there. And there are two. She laid 3. This one never did hatch. It's still out there, as a matter of fact. I think at this point that I'm just going to keep on working. As you can see, there's a date. That was the 21st of June, and I have another picture for the 23rd, and so on. And I'll make notes. I might even record the temperature, because there were a couple days that were 106, and the poor little chickies' mouths are wide open, and they look pretty hot. And so I'll make notes. This is how I executed it. You could certainly use pencil or pen and ink or marker. You could go quicker. You could spend tons more time, as you can see. I just want to make mental notes and have something that I can remember this whole little escapade by. I will continue to work, and I'll check back in another segment. Thank you. While my little book is not yet quite finished, I did finish one side of it, and I thought I would share that with you. It folds out to, I think, 8 panels. And each panel, I've done one more little illustration of what happened on a particular day. I started to make some notes about what, each event. In this case, it's that the two of the 3 eggs had hatched. That was the very first day that they had hatched. And so on through each day. And the final one on this side, the last panel, their little eyes are open and they actually look like feathers now. I was noticing that each time I executed yet another little drawing, I got a little different result depending on my technique and the colors I used and the photograph I was working from, but also over time, of course, it's, practice. Those pencil miles, they add up, and so you can get more detail and your techniques change. On the next side, which I've sketched it all out, but I've not done any of the drawings yet, I think I'll try using different media for each page. In particular ink, because I've noticed that their little feathers are so fascinating. Early on they were just little tubes, little almost blue colored tubes, and then the feathers emerge from those. The tubes are still here on this day. They're just starting to disappear here, and then by this stage they already have feathers. So those would be fun to do in pen and ink. Other things I can try are pencil, colored pencil. And when I'm done, I'll share that either on Instagram or in some way. Anyway, thought you would enjoy seeing what you can do if you have something that you want to observe closely over time. Thanks.